everyone, welcome to the Anchor of the Week. My name is Zach.
And I'm Courtney, and we're an initiative of Hope and Anchor Community Church in London.
Each week we'll discuss different topics relevant to faith and Christianity in today's culture.
We're here to build a space for the church to share our experiences and challenge one another to grow in living a life like Jesus.
Right, Timo, we are back again. Welcome.
Yes, hello. Good to see you, hear you, be with you.
Yeah. If you haven't noticed already, I had to do this. I said I would on the way. So cycling. Courtney has changed her hair color.
I have.
And it looks great.
Thank you. Thank you.
It actually does.
I specifically changed it for the affirmation.
Oh, okay. Nice.
No, if you've been watching the podcast on YouTube, you'll get to see the stages of my hair color and the
looks good, though.
fade out. Yeah, exactly.
Like
it was needed, but yeah.
Great.
Something fresh for a new topic.
Wow. We can do it at the same time. Okay. Oh gosh, didn't get that.
Yes, but that's right, guys. We have a new topic today.
We do. We are. Well, the main topic, we're going to be diving into freedom and different areas of it. But today specifically.
Just a little bit of freedom. Just a little freedom. I think we said that so nonchalantly, but it is such a big topic.
Yeah. But the question today is, why is freedom so important to us?
Yes.
Yeah. So, we're gonna do a few funky little things as the week goes on with regards to this.
Yes.
So stay tuned. But yeah, that's today's question.
Exactly.
So,
it's a very interesting question because, I thought about it and I was like, oh, of course freedom's important. And then could not answer this question for the life of me.
For yourself, you mean?
Yeah, for myself,
Yeah.
And of course, we have freedom in Christ, as Christians, we believe that. But I feel like freedom, especially in a world society perspective, it is so much more layered and complicated.
Yeah.
Because everywhere you go, no matter who you are, what you believe in, everyone wants freedom.
Yeah.
No one chooses to say oh, I'd rather not be free, Yeah. So it's so interesting and how we can unpack this and how many different just kind of motivations even or aspects to it, like you said.
Yeah.
I don't know, did you find this easy?
No, I didn't actually. No, seriously,
Okay.
I didn't. I was asking the same question. I think something that we've discussed before this and then we will go into a little bit is the idea of being set free. You feel like we're enslaved almost. I think that was the best word to use it. So I think that could be in different areas of your life, but the idea of breaking away from being enslaved, I think that's something I kind of could relate to a little bit.
Yeah.
Different areas.
And it's interesting to see how different it is on a there's so many different, I would say scales, but so many different aspects on this scale, on one scale. You have the actual slaves, people that are being enslaved today, whether that's in labor trafficking or anything like that. And then you have, you don't want to be enslaved to your, I don't know, Instagram addiction.
Yeah.
Right? There are so many, I think it's so broad and so many things that we can feel enslaved to.
Yeah.
That we're kind of looking for freedom in, you know?
Yeah.
But then again, if something is not inherently bad, why do we want freedom for? Sorry, my brain is going a mile a minute today.
It's good.
But
that's what we're doing today.
Yeah.
So something that I think we should dive into a little bit is kind of, obviously, why is freedom so important to us? That's a big question. It feels like we want to get out of this space that we're in and almost have control ourselves. Yeah, I feel like that's the big, when we have control ourselves and control over our situation, or whether that's mentally or what we're doing physically, I feel like then we feel like we're free. So why do you think that is? What are your thoughts on kind of do you think that's good that we are in control ourselves? Obviously, we're going to talk about this a little bit, but yeah.
Yes. I think it's really interesting because, in essence, when we were kind of preparing for this, kind of writing down our thoughts, you want freedom from something that you feel is oppressing you, right?
Yes.
Or controlling you.
Yeah.
And as you said, as long as we're in control, then it's fine, right? Because, but also as humans, we are made with free will. So when you feel like you're being controlled, of course you're going to react because it's whoa, I am able to make my own decisions.
Yep.
It is human nature to have free will, to make decisions, So I think we pendulum swing a lot. So we are, you see this in the typical story of the rebellious teenager with super strict parents and they get freedom from their house when they're 18 and they go completely,
go crazy,
go crazy, do the partying and all of that. But I think And yeah, that's like a cliche, but it has so much truth in it, and just kind of like of the human condition, you know, when we like feel like we are being controlled, we just completely swing, you know, and we try to control everything around us, you know. But yeah, and I think as well though, like if you're gonna look at it from a Christian perspective, like we are under the control of God, you know. So anything that is not God that is controlling us, we are, I think, going to want to break from.
And we're broken. Like if we're trying to be the ones at the steering wheel and control what's going on, eventually that's just gonna end in disaster, really, isn't it?
I mean, one could say then you are enslaved to your own opinions.
Yes, you could say that actually. Yeah, seriously though.
Right? Like.
Yeah, and that I feel like that is just a recipe for chaos, to be honest.
Ooh, we're going back a few episodes.
But it is though. Like, people think that when you're in control, that's great, and you've made it freedom in that respect. But yeah, I think that's when like kind of our Christian thoughts and beliefs come in. You know, under the authority and control of God and His ways.
Yeah. When I was like thinking about this, I was actually listening to another podcast today. And it was called We're Going There with Bianca Olthoff, featuring Jess Connolly. It was really good. One day, Bianca, I would love to be on your show, but that's fine. But basically, one thing that was said in the interview was that, you know, the Bible verse in Galatians that said it's for freedom that we've been set free. And I've always been like, okay, yeah, we're free, clearly, you got it, you said it twice in one sentence, you know, and how that doesn't really make sense. Yeah. And this girl said, it's like you're saying, like, it's for bananas that we've been, like, it's bananas, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't actually have any, like, logic to it. Yeah. But then she said, replace, like, the freedom with something else, right? It's not for living up to other people's standards that we've been set free. Yeah. You know, it's not for, like, I don't know, having the perfect lifestyle that we've been set free. Yeah. And I thought, oh, that's really cool. It is for freedom, but in like the true sense of freedom. You know what I mean? It's for like living not in the world's false freedom, which again is like maybe another episode. Yeah. And I thought that was very interesting, how we need to have a very like, as Christians, like definite, I don't say like definition, because I don't know, or like understanding of what freedom in God looks like. If not, we're kind of chasing tail with the rest of the world, you know?
When I was like doing some research for this, like I saw someone's comment, this whoever they are, maybe they'll ever listen to this, but
someone on the internet.
Yeah. But they were talking about freedom being like something you can like. It's not like you get freedom and then you're free and set free. It's like a muscle that you exercise, which it's interesting. Or like it's like a skill set that you pick up, which I don't completely agree with as such, but it's an interesting perspective. Like they think like it's something you need to actively seek, do, stop, and things like that. Yeah. As opposed to it being like, open the doors, now you're free type thing.
Run.
Yeah.
It's like the horse on the beach in slow motion. Wind, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. But
yeah.
What do you think to that?
Well, I've heard it kind of in a sense, and I think this is something that I have seen in my life, you know, from different things, but I almost like to look at it as like a line of freedom, and you cross that line of freedom, and you know you've been set free, or you're free from, whether that is like spiritually by Jesus, or, you know, you left a toxic like situation, you know, or whatever it might be. But then you keep on walking further into freedom. Yeah. So you cross that line and you are free, but then there's more to go and to become
different
more
areas,
free. Yeah. Different areas, just deeper, working on it deeper. But yeah, that's nice for things that are like black and white. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I don't agree with it as such. I think as well though, like obviously God gave us freedom, and so like it's not like something we have to like train. I don't know if I'm wording that right, but just it's not something we have to like. I don't know. It's like I don't think a skill set is a good way to look at it.
Yeah,
it's very like I feel like you said, like we're just chasing our own tail if we're looking at it like that. Like we're constantly looking forward to like the next thing to be free from, or I don't know. It's
true. However, I just thought as you said this, it's not like a skill set, but how many of us have been set free but we're not acting like it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So in that sense, I see it as like, hey, that's a tool. That's your weapon.
Yeah.
But it's in the sheath? Is that where you keep swords?
I have no idea that I'm the wrong person
I'm
to
like a
ask.
good 92%. That's how you
Okay,
how
yeah.
you say that. But
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
a weapon
yeah.
that hasn't been drawn because we forget that we have it.
Mm.
So in that sense, I kind of see it, you know, because a lot of us have been set free, you know, but we're living like we've been, like we're not, you know, that we're still
Yeah.
enslaved to the world, to opinions, to people, how they view us, to
Yeah.
all this stuff.
I was on. I was doing evangelism. In fact, I think you know this, but anyway, I'm going to share with.
I could have been there.
You could have been there. I was on evangelism last week, and for those of you who don't know, we set up a yellow tent, give out some food, drinks, clothes, and stuff like that.
This is every Friday night, Saturday afternoon, and Saturday evening, or Saturday evening, not Sunday evening.
Yeah.
With Hope and Anchor Community Church.
Yeah.
Please come and join us.
Yeah. It's a good laugh. So, anyway, I was talking to this guy the whole time, and it was literally about COVID, about politics, and just very, he was very bothered and very just like almost, I would say, like distracted by everything that was going on and everything that like in his surroundings, in his environment, etc. So, but in doing that, I said to him, I was like, you're so like confused and mixed up with what's going on around you. Like you're completely forgetting what's going on in your heart and like with you. And I feel like that's very easy to do. Like you just said, like just our environment and like it's almost like a distraction. Like we're not living in that freedom. We think we're enslaved and we think that these things that are happening are controlling us, but actually it has no real complete direct effect on us, you know? So it's just interesting how the environment has, or like your culture or environment, your social group or whatever, like influences kind of how you view yourself and how free you are and how it controls you when actually it does it actually have that much of a say on you in your life. But yeah.
Does it?
So yeah.
That's a whole other topic as well.
Yeah. And anyway, it's a good chat.
Yeah. No.
So
that's good. And it's good to like hear other people's opinions on that. Or maybe not other people's opinions, but like to be confronted with, you know, the struggles of other people as well, because sometimes we take it so for granted that we're like, okay, yeah, like, you know, this political thing is happening and yeah, we fight for it, we do what we have to do, you know, in the physical, but we know in the end of the day that, hey, we belong to like the government of heaven, the kingdom of heaven, you know?
Yeah.
And to have being confronted that with people sometimes that don't know that, you know, or don't believe that. Like it's really interesting and it makes me honestly really grateful to have that bigger perspective. But then so I think we could maybe talk a bit about then like just freedom in culture, you know, because I feel like we're all looking for some sort of freedom, you know, in culture. And like, what does that look like in society today? You know what I mean? Like, what does looking for freedom, you know, fighting for freedom, which is another thing. Do we fight for it? Do we, layered topic.
Like in our culture, in our...
Yeah, you know, like, because for us, we can talk about it like from a biblical standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint, you know, but like practically when rubber hits the road and we are out there with our, I almost said comrades, but our peers in society.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like everyone's going for freedom. There's freedom marches going on around London, you know? Everyone is saying like, you know, it's just such a big topic.
Yeah.
How do we kind of handle that? How do we empathize with people? We might agree, we might not agree, but you know, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's actually a march going on, isn't there? Soon, right?
Yeah, there should be. So as we film this, it was the weekend before that there was this massive freedom march here in London. It was mostly about COVID. And about businesses opening. There was a lot of also like little marches inside that. So there was like a Black Lives Matter, sort of like racial freedom. And there was one called Freedom to Dance, about reopening the clubs.
Oh, right. Like the nightclubs and things.
Yes, but it's so that musicians can get paid again.
Right.
So it's just fascinating that everyone's talking about this, and this is something that, you know.
So what's your opinion? Is it our role, or would you take it upon, like, would you join those kind of marches? Would you be involved in that kind of group yourself? Like,
I mean, if it's something I believed in, then you know, and I think that, we do live in a society that's not as free as everyone thinks it is.
Yeah.
You know, this is not me making some sort of political commentary. Please don't read
No,
into
no,
this.
I'm not into politics, and I completely agree. So
You should get into politics.
I should. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But, you know, like, I think that a lot of times, especially in the Western, well, mostly in the Western society, we are sold a false freedom.
Okay.
You know, there are countries in, like, the Middle East and Asia and, you know, Africa that they know that they're not free, you know? And is that any better or worse? Not necessarily, you know?
Yeah.
And okay, first of all, I am not American, so I really apologize for representing a nation that I am not from. I know this gives me zero authority, you know, but being surrounded by a lot of Americans and living very close to America growing up, that's what it is. It's freedom.
Yeah.
You know, we have freedom. But you look around and everyone's trying to control one another through political systems, through battles of political parties, through everything, you know? And you look and you go, you know, you preach freedom. You say, you know, it's the eagle, it's freedom, all of this.
Yeah.
But how free are we actually living if you look at it from a biblical standpoint, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying abolish literally every form of structure that we have, you know? But I think we need to be aware of just the status quo freedom.
Yeah. What's, like, do you think it's our role to, like, because obviously that's things that are going on in the world that I mean, opinions can kind of influence, I feel like, a little bit. Like, there's no, like, set right answer, is there? Do you think with things like that? Or
I mean, it's not necessarily black and white, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
so
most things are not, but
Yeah.
I mean, if God's people are oppressed, well, like his children, I think that deserves freedom.
What's our role, though, as Christians, do you think, in kind of bringing freedom to the world? Like, do you think we have a responsibility to do that? Or
Absolutely.
Yeah. In what ways, though? Like, what are ways we can do that, I think, practically
I think,
speaking?
first of all, is, as I said kind of earlier, knowing what real freedom is. Not this superficial, I can do what I want freedom.
Yeah, control of my life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is not freedom. That is,
No.
just another layer of being enslaved, essentially.
Yeah, it is, though. Yeah.
It really is.
Mhm.
So, first of all, like, you can't fight for freedom if you actually haven't experienced it, you know? And that does not mean, you know, you live in necessarily a free country. Like, there are people, you can live in a, you know, X country that does not have great freedom, you know, laws and just society. But if you know that you experience actual freedom for what it actually is, which is living freely in Christ, which frees you up from so much,
Yeah, it does.
you know,
Yeah.
then you bring that to, you know, to people. And then because of that, because you want people to live like that, I mean, it's also me, and I'm a little bit intense, maybe, I don't know, or I just like to, but, you know, then go join that political protest if that is what's on your heart, you know?
Yeah.
But if your goal is not to prove a point, it's not to just get superficial freedom, if it's not to meet the status quo freedom, but it's like, hey, like, you guys want freedom? Okay, let me tell you about freedom, you know? Like,
Yeah.
For me, at least.
No. I'm kind of just, it's like an interview style, even though we're both chatting. But, yeah, I think it's kind of important to look into. I'm going to move on to a quote that I found.
Beautiful.
Online. So there's this lady in a wheelchair. BBC is, you know what BBC is, right?
I do, but for listeners at home that might not.
Yes, to who might not. It's like England's like news center website. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, and they just, it's where you look at the news basically and what's going on. So they did like a questionnaire in like, I think it was 2014, so quite a few years ago, just on like people's thoughts and opinions on what freedom was. Anyway, it was really interesting. There's this lady called Jess, and she's on a wheelchair and just, I think, disabled in some way. I didn't know the details, but she talked about freedom. She talked about, I think, what freedom wasn't, or the opposite of what it was. But her quote was, "My wheelchair and my tics," so that a condition she's got or whatever. "My wheelchair and my tics are not the things that disable me. The thing that disables me is the inaccessible environment." So, I'm gonna say that one more time. because I got
One more
confused.
time for the people in the back.
Yeah. My wheelchair and my tics are not the things that disable me. The thing that disables me is the inaccessible environment. So I feel like for me, straight away, that says like the world is like the opposite of what freedom is.
Yeah.
So like when we try and control ourselves in this world, like we're just in this non-freedom area, I guess.
Yeah.
But what do you think to that? I mean, I think that's like, it says so much about kind of
Yeah.
like what we're constantly trying to chase is really poor. And like, yeah, just this environment that's not accessible.
Yeah, and I think in a sense we're like, and I say we because I've done this too, you know, it's not like we're like perfect Christians or whatever, but we're trying to chase a freedom that the world actually like
doesn't offer
like it, you know. Maybe it's been promised, also maybe it hasn't been promised, you know, but we think it exists, you know. And I think we also have to be aware of just like am I limiting also someone else's freedom? Yeah. Because I'm too consumed with trying to find my own. You know, because you think about how many, you know, situations may she have like had where, I don't know, she couldn't get into a building or whatever because no one was thinking about it because they were too consumed with whatever they were building, whatever they were doing, how they were gaining freedom. Yeah. And I just think that's really interesting also to look at because especially her example comes from a lot of, you need to think about someone other than yourself. You know?
Yeah, literally. I think that's the message, yeah.
Yeah, but when we're all trying to chase our freedom, that's very self-focused.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because what's freedom to you? What's freedom to me? You know? Are they different? There are some collective freedoms that we fight for, some personal ones, and we have to be careful that it doesn't then become the Zach show or the Courtney show, you know?
Yeah. I have this joke that I do with my friends. It's like, when they're doing that, like, I put my hand in front of my face. I don't know if this is... And, like, I just say, like, this is as far as you can see, and like it's just their own hand, super close up to their face.
I mean, that's the saying, you can't see beyond your own hand.
Yeah. Oh wait,
I also just might have made that up, but I'm pretty sure that there is.
Is that really? Wow.
Can't see beyond your own face, your own hand.
Nose.
Yeah,
I remembered. You know.
Okay, that was not Zach remembering. No, that was our crew that was remembering.
Okay,
so
yeah. Do they want specific names? No.
Can't see beyond your own nose. Yes, thank you. This is why we have crew to fact check us. But it's true, right?
It is,
and I think we just always have to be aware, you know, that also it's not about us. God wants our freedom, but also He sets us free so we can be a part of other people's freedom, you know? Yes. There's something else that I've been thinking about. Actually, something that you brought up kind of in passing earlier, but you wrote down the verse, and you know the truth, and the truth will set you free.
Yes.
And we all know one of my favorite topics is absolute versus relative truth.
Oh, gosh. Yes.
But it ties into all of this, because if we're all kind of going after our own freedom, we all have our own opinions on what freedom is.
Yeah.
Therefore, we all are operating in our own truth of what freedom is.
Yeah.
Right? But the Bible doesn't say, figure out what's freedom to you, and then you'll be free.
Yeah.
It says, you will know the truth, and then the knowledge of the truth is going to be what sets you free.
Yeah.
You know, so we're not even supposed to be pursuing freedom.
No. Yes. I feel like that's such a big issue, though, that we all do. Like, we're seeking it so much.
And I think even if, you know, we're Christians, we're seeking God's freedom, like, seek Him first.
Yeah.
And then the freedom comes. You know, we don't pursue the freedom more than we pursue Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's just a freaking amazing benefit that comes from Him. Like,
yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. Yeah. Yeah, super interesting. I know there's also something you wanted to bring up. Is it?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'll let you explain. Brit, right? Something Brit.
Okay, I want to apologize on behalf of the anchor of the week. Britney Spears is who he means.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. Anyway, go on, because I know you want to talk about this.
Oh, God, this gets me wound up, but it just shows as well, like, that freedom in our culture today is such a hot topic, and that we need to be talking about it and also really, like, diving into it. Because if you guys don't know, guys, we are not a pop culture
No.
podcast.
No, we
even
are
though I've
not.
tried a few times
No.
to make it that.
We are not.
Has not stuck yet.
We are not.
We are not.
Again. Yeah.
But the idea of the Free Britney movement, if anyone knows
Good
or does
quick
not
summary.
know, really quick summary. She obviously had some mental health issues. If you were, growing up around 2007, 2008, you're aware of those. And basically because of that, she entered into a conservatorship. I always have to say that first in my brain before I say it.
Yeah.
So many letters. But it's a conservatorship where her dad and someone else has basically a say over, not a say, they are in control over her body, her estate, finances, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And really a conservatorship is made for people that are actually like incapable of making decisions. So people that are brain dead, people that have like dementia, super ill, things like this.
Yeah.
And then she actually, for the first time after all these years, spoke out a couple weeks ago. I don't remember exactly when it was right now. Maybe even just a week ago, saying that she does not actually want this, that she is a capable woman who apparently can make records and tour. So if you're capable to do that, one would think that you're capable to drive a car, which is something that she's not allowed to do under the conservatorship.
Yeah.
And so it's really just, I think, stirred a lot in society and even in pop culture of like being under someone else's oppressive control, like, is not right.
Yeah.
You know? And again, actually, today the judge said, yeah, we're not granting you, like, we're not letting you leave the conservatorship.
Yeah. That puts such a bad rep on being under control. It, like, that concept in general, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you associate that with, like, and then someone looks at that, it's like, oh, it just, straight away you connect it with being under control, and then it's such a bad thing. But being under God's, like, authority and control is so different.
It is so different.
Yeah, and it's almost like trying to show that to the world. Like, and I think, it's going off slightly, but like, and I also think, like, one of the reasons why people turn away God and the concept of it and the idea of Christianity is because they think that it's this thing that controls them and limits them as well, and they don't have freedom to make their own choices to
essentially a conservatorship, but it's God in charge. You know,
it's so interesting.
It is really interesting,
but it's like the opposite though. We're under the control, and that's what sets us free, because we're under this under authority that God has over us.
Exactly.
But
again, as you said, it's so foreign then to our human understanding of all of this.
Yeah.
And you look at people like Britney and you go like, oh my gosh, like, of course that's not a way to live.
Yeah.
You know? You tell me when that march is and I will be right there. You know what I mean? Like,
but she's under the wrong authority there, you know?
Yes.
And it's,
and I think that is an extremely extreme case, you know?
It is.
And literally pray for her. God bless her. Like, Jesus free her, you know? But also, let's kind of look at that in our lives and say, okay, like, who am I, like, letting control me? You know, what am I letting control me? You know, and again, I understand that Britney's not letting them. This is a legal thing.
Yeah.
So that's
slightly
different.
Sure.
But, you know, like, to ask ourselves this question, like, what am I letting control me, you know? And which is giving me this kind of, like, I don't know, like, what word am I looking for? Like, rebellion is what I'm looking for against control and authority.
Yeah.
Because obviously we've all been controlled by something that's not right or good for us.
Yeah.
But we can't, like, copy and paste that to God.
Yeah. And just going back to, like, what I was saying, like, I think just sinning and things like that is almost, I feel like one of the ways of looking at it is, like, when you sin, you're trying to take things into your own hands and deal with it out of your own control and mind, knowledge, wants, whatever.
You name it.
So, it just kind of goes to show, like, we do need an authority figure. We do need to be, like, under someone, but obviously that being God, and
because he's the only perfect one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know?
What are your thoughts though? Like, obviously he puts people in authority over us in our life, whether that's teachers, parents, or so. Yeah, I mean, this is slightly off. But what do you think to that? I mean, do you think, like, it's our job to just listen to that authority and just kind of understand that this is what God's saying at this time? He wants us to be. What do you think?
One thing that, again, this is mostly in more, like, I guess Christian circles, but I think this can be applied broadly.
Yeah.
But someone once said that like unless they're asked like leading you to sin, you might not agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times you can go with it because you're like, you know what, you're my authority and I respect you. You know, I wanted to go left. You say go right. I still think left is probably better, but right now this is not harming anyone. It's fine. I'm sure God will show me something. I'm sure I will learn something if I go right. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's when like sin and ethics and moral is on the line.
Yeah.
That I think it's time that we go, wait a minute. Like,
can't do this.
Yeah, no, you go right and I go south. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So it's one of those things, and I think we have to respect and honor, and I think that's something our generation is losing a lot.
For sure.
But I think it's because we saw the respect and honor in an unhealthy way.
Yeah.
Where it was you don't ask questions. You never second guess anything. You know, and as you know here, we're big on asking questions and
we are.
Challenging the agenda, you know? So
do you think like families, and I say corrupt families, what I mean by that is like just unhealthy relationships within the family. Like, do you think that has an effect on how people view authority as well?
100%. Yeah. I mean, since when we're children, the people that are raising us are our first authority figures, you know, so those that are closest to us, you know, even if it's an older sibling, you know, and so we're constantly being fed since we're born essentially with that's what authority figures are like. And so then we start to make assumptions, and then we view everything kind of through those lenses and those glasses, and then those glasses get more tints to them with more authority figures that we come in contact with. So that when we're looking at God, we've got so many tints and scratches and scrapes on our glasses that we really can't see his authority in the proper light. And so then why would you, looking at that with like the influence of all the negative authority you've had in your life, I wouldn't want that to control me either, you know? So it's I think a process of removing that, you know, and understanding that God actually like wants the best for us, loves us, and
I think it's really important that you have the right people around you in kind of figuring these things out as well. You know? Like a mentor, or call it a discipler here. That's a new name for me, but
a one-on-one, a Paul to your Timothy. How many church things from me to say?
I haven't heard that before. I like that.
Really?
Yeah, I really like that. But and kind of a healthy, I guess, group at church, things like that.
You know, good
support system.
Exactly, and I feel like we say this every episode. But we mean
it's so true though.
It's so good.
And, like, it feels like it applies to everything. So,
I think this kind of rounds up our first week talking about freedom.
It does, yeah.
It's crazy. I am really, are you shocked? Excited. my one adjective I have. But buzzing. Just buzzing. He's buzzing. I'm excited. This is just how it is. But just to be able to go deeper into some of the layers that we've talked about, and just hear more perspectives on it.
Any kind of thoughts or questions that you'd like us to, because we will definitely be taking this to the public.
Don't you know?
Yes, don't you know? So if there are things that you'd like to hear, kind of, I guess, what they have to say, or questions you think would be interesting to ask,
let us know.
We're all for it.
You can write it in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. Or you could send us a direct message on our brand new Instagram.
Yes.
Why don't you tell them all about it, Zach?
Well, we have an Instagram. The Anchor of the Week. Yeah, that is what it's called.
That's it.
Yeah. The Anchor of the Week. Give us a follow. You can keep in touch on there.
We'll be posting, more about the topics or whatever, maybe little snippets of the podcast, some behind the scenes things.
Yeah, behind the scenes. We'd like to show a bit.
We'd like to show behind the scenes. I don't know if you guys are ready for behind the scenes. It's a wild time.
Yeah. The crew have been begging for this.
They're excited.
Begging, yeah.
Yes. But also, we want to use it to get in touch with you guys.
Yeah.
You know, and we'll have polls and votes and ask us anything. So
yeah.
It's the perfect place if you want to see something talked about, or a topic, or even just a question you have at one of our episodes. We would love to answer them. And hopefully build more of a relationship with you guys. Because this is why we do it.
Literally.
It's not just so we can talk.
Yes.
It seems like that, but it's not.
It's not.
Amazing.
Brilliant.
Well.
Thanks for joining, Timo.
Yes. It's been a pleasure.
I was about to say that.
I stole it this time.
It's been great.
It has.
Yeah. Thanks for joining.
See you soon.
See you next time. Thanks for joining us for today's episode of The Anchor of the Week.
Make sure you follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube so you never miss an episode.
See you next time.